Welcome to another episode of Financial Empowerment with Nick Abrams. I'm your host, Nick Abrams. For the past 20 years, I've had the pleasure of working with countless individuals and couples to help make their financial dreams come true. I've done this by assisting them with strategies to make sure that they are financially empowered. Unfortunately, I've also seen countless individuals who have made costly financial mistakes. Not that they did this on purpose, but because they did not have the tools, knowledge, and research to empower themselves financially. That's why this show was created. Each week, we bring qualified topics and guests who are experts in their field to help give you the information and knowledge so that you may empower yourself financially. Today's show, we're going to be talking about purchasing a franchise. Now, there's some statistics I want to give to you. The Small Business Administration released a study showing that 64% of franchisees survive within the first 4 years of their business. And that's compared to 72% of independent businesses. Also, according to a study by the Business Review, 51% of food franchises earn a profit of less than $50,000 per year. The top 7% earn a profit of $250,000, where the average for all restaurants fall in at about $82,000. Why is this important? A lot of times I get people calling me wanting to start a franchise with themselves, spouse, or other business partners. So today we have a guest who has successfully purchased a franchise, and we're going to talk about the steps that are needed to make sure that you don't make mistakes, that you are one of the successful ones during a franchise. On today's episode of Financial Empowerment with Nick Abrams, we are honored to have Tiffany Thomas, CEO of Bricks LLC. And Bricks LLC, you are an owner-operator of a Chick-fil-A restaurant in Rockville, Maryland. Tiffany, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Nick.
So Tiffany, we were talking about franchising here, and in the beginning I was giving some statistics how 64% of them only make it through the first 4 years. Tell us, what made you get into purchasing a franchise?
Well, I've been in business management for over 15 years,
Okay.
and through that process I also opened up a few daycare centers. And in that process, I was thinking about how to expand my own business. And I did a lot of research, did my due diligence, and I decided to look up franchising other companies. And
Okay.
I came across Chick-fil-A franchise opportunity.
Okay. So before you even did that, tell a little more about your background, education, other experiences that you have.
Well, I am educated. I've done field operations for several major Fortune 500 companies.
Okay.
And what that is basically running someone else's business, making them millions and millions of dollars.
Okay. Making them rich.
Making them rich.
So you got rich with them, correct?
Well, somewhat.
Okay. So they did share some of that.
Yeah, they shared a little bit with me.
A little bit, okay.
But that opportunity afforded me to be able to really dig into profit and loss and see how businesses really, really work. And so I took that expertise and decided to open my own business, and that's kind of how I got into the whole franchising.
See, and it's important that you gave your background, because as I said in the opening, a lot of times I get clients come in, they want to open a franchise. So, a couple years ago, Subway was the big franchise, and it's other things. And they think that, you just write a check, you get your franchise, and you make lots of money. Is that true?
Yes and no.
Okay.
Yes and no. It really depends. The franchise model for individual companies.
Okay.
There are some franchises that will allow you to be what we would consider an absent owner, where you could write a check and you can have other people run your franchise for you.
Okay.
However, you do need business acumen. You do need to understand business if you wanted to pursue it that route. However, the safest route is to really having the knowledge and the business acumen to understand how to properly run a business.
Okay.
That would be my best educated opinion about it, yes.
So you said you had experience in running businesses for other people, helping them out. When you were looking to get by a franchise, so there's hundreds, if not thousands, of franchises out there. What preparation or research did you do through that process?
There's tons of research. You have to spend hours and days and weeks doing your due diligence, understanding bottom lines, understanding overhead, which is basically how much money do you need to even be able to make money at the end.
Really? Okay.
A lot of businesses, there is tons of overhead, and you take a long time before that money will trickle down to the bottom line, which is the money you put in your pocket. Research, asking questions, going into the businesses that you're looking for, to interview people that have franchises themselves. Like
Really?
I thought about Rita's as one of
Okay.
them. And I know a few people who own Rita's and had conversations with them. So just really creating relationships through that process as well. I interviewed several Chick-fil-A owner-operators before I got into the business. I even offered free service, free labor to go in and to learn the business, to see if that was something that I wanted to do. So there's several ways you can do it, but you really need to do your due diligence and really do your research and have the money to be able to do it. Good
Yeah.
credit.
Couple things that you talked about. You're talking about overhead. Define for us, what is overhead? What does that mean?
Well, the biggest part of overhead, in the simplest form, is labor.
So the employees, the
Meaning
workers.
you need team, you need product. So if you
Okay.
are for a restaurant in particular, you need to sell food. You need to have the money to purchase the food, have the human resources to be able to deliver the experience of your franchise, whether it's in customer service, whether it's in e-commerce. Either way, you have to have some overhead to start your business. You have to pay for gas and electric. You have to pay for water. You have to pay for telephone.
Really?
You know,
so
yes.
You pay for everything.
You pay for everything.
Okay.
Nothing's free.
Okay. All right. So viewers, remember, you're paying for everything. So you're interviewing other franchise owners, owner-operators. How did you know what questions to ask them? I mean, did you just pick up the phone and say, hey, I'm thinking about going into this. Let me talk to you, buy you lunch. How did you go through that process?
Well, that also comes into play with having business experience.
Okay.
So some of those questions were natural questions, but you can go online, and there's tons of tools online. Whether it's franchisee information, you can type in tons of things on Google nowadays, and they'll give you really good questions to ask. Number one, to ask yourself, and then ask another.
So you just said ask yourself. What was the first question you asked yourself?
Why?
And what was your answer?
Yeah. So there has to be a why.
Okay.
And it really can't be, in my opinion, all about money, because based on the statistics that you read, it's not about money in the beginning. So there has to be some sort of passion or emotional connection that connects you to the business that you're running. Whether it's because you want to serve people, you love food, it has to be some type of passion behind your why, not just money.
So what was your why?
I love people.
Really?
Yes.
So that was it.
Yes.
Wow. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a quick break. As always on our show, we strive to give you experts in the field, great information. As I always say, please get a piece of paper, a pen, record the show. If you've ever thought about getting into business, purchasing a franchise, you want to make sure that you are watching this carefully. We'll be right back. I'm Nick Abrams, host of Financial Empowerment with Nick Abrams. Hello, this is Nick Abrams, host of Financial Empowerment with Nick Abrams, and this is your financial tip of the day. Did you get a surprise on April 17th this year that you actually owed money to the IRS for your federal taxes? Or did you get less back than you anticipated in previous years? Now is the time to do something about it. The first step, review your taxes with your CPA or tax preparer. Do it early. Don't wait until the end of the year. Come up with some strategies and plans to make sure that you're doing the right things tax-wise so you're not in the situation for the following year. Number two, look at increasing your withholdings if you owe taxes. Increasing your withholdings will spread out that liability throughout the year, so you're not hit with writing a check in April of that following year. Consider contributing to a retirement account if you're not, or contribute more to a retirement account. That can help reduce your taxable liability. Those contributions can be tax deductible and reduce your taxable income, which in turn will reduce the money that you have to pay for the IRS. Consider donating more to charity. Those can be deductions. And lastly, consider itemizing. If you have a lot of expenses, whether you're a business owner or whether you just have children and a lot of other expenses to go along with that, it might be better for you to itemize your deductions. But before you make that decision, make sure that you sit down and talk with a tax professional to make sure you're doing the right thing. I'm Nick Abrams, and this is your financial tip of the day. And welcome back to Financial Empowerment with Nick Abrams. We are here for our special guest, Tiffany Thomas, owner-operator of a Chick-fil-A franchise in Rockville, Maryland. Tiffany, as we were closing out, you were telling us the why you got into the business because of you like people. Let's take it back for a minute. So the process, and I'm very interested in the process of any business owner, of why they got into it. Getting help. How did you get the help? Did you put a team together? How did you go about this process? You knew you wanted to do it. You had the why. After that, how did you go to work to make this happen?
There's a lot of help needed.
Okay.
It takes a village. If you're married, if you have family, you bring your idea to your family. Then you get their buy-in.
Now, why is that? I'm curious.
Because something like franchising takes a lot of commitment. And when you go in, you're pretty much wearing all the hats. So you can be the plumber, the employee, the person that's the fry cook. You're pretty much everyone. And so if you have children, if you have family, if you have other priorities in your life, it really, really takes a lot of support to help be successful.
Okay. So you did that, you got the help. What was next? So you talked to your family, they say, go for it. What's next?
Next is just making sure, going backwards a little bit, making sure all your financial things are intact. Good credit.
Talk about this for a minute. Okay, wait a minute. You said good credit.
Yeah.
So why is that important?
It's important because you have to create business relationships. So you have to buy produce, you have to buy equipment, you have to buy food, chicken, if you're selling chicken. And so these things, you need to have a good business credit relationship with people, because a lot of times you're purchasing these items on the strength of your credit, because they don't know you, you're a new business. And so all you have is your credit, is your good name, actually.
Wow. So good credit is important. Viewers, I told you this is good information. What else?
And so once you got your finances and things like that in order, and then you go and get your help from all of your people around you that you need your support from, then after that you just kind of start your process, and it's kind of no looking backwards after you started. Once you make your mind up, go for it. For me, the process was just submitting an expression of interest for Chick-fil-A. If you've done a little bit of research on Chick-fil-A, you know that they get thousands, 20, 30, 40,000 applications a year for this opportunity. And they only pick about 80 to 110.
I saw that statistic, and I was going to ask about that. So you were getting help, you submitted. What made you stand out from the other 20,000 that particular year?
Well, you know, they have a secret sauce that that they use when they're selecting their franchisees. But if you go online and you do it, they give you specific upfront requirements. You have to only want to own a Chick-fil-A. So there's no other business ventures that you can. So you can't have a purse shop or perfume shop and a Chick-fil-A. This has to be something that the franchisee is going to dedicate their time and energy to.
Is that for all franchises, or is just each franchise different?
Each franchise is different.
Okay.
There are a lot of franchisors that don't mind their franchisees being absent.
Okay.
What we would consider absent, meaning not there every day in the day-to-day operations, such as the Chick-fil-A franchisee opportunity.
Okay. So what is the business model of franchise? I mean, we can talk general because you said you did research for different franchisees. What is the general business model?
When you say business model, are you talking about the structure of how to get in? Are you talking about finances?
Finances, how does it work? Are you, okay, you're there, you provide everything, you pay everybody, you keep the profit. Is it something more to that?
Specifically for Chick-fil-A franchise opportunities, it is different. So you do your due diligence, you'll find that there is a slight structural difference, meaning the upfront cost is not your typical upfront cost.
Okay.
That you would think it would be. There's a minimal upfront cost, and then there's a pretty heavy royalty fee.
Okay.
But that is what you have to do is be a present owner, meaning you do have to go to work every day. You do have to hire your own people, and you do have to be a part of the day-to-day operations.
But that's just not, so that's every franchise different, because I've heard some franchise you pay a heavy upfront fee commitment.
Yes.
What's the general range of that commitment that you've seen maybe or you've heard of?
It does definitely vary. I've seen it, especially for a lot of startup franchisors, which is really, in my opinion, really good. If you pick a really good startup, you can be in a good business. But anywhere from 5,000 up to 500,000.
Wow.
It can range really heavy depending on what you choose. But online has a lot of different franchises that you can pick from, and a lot of them are pretty good if you do your good research. Yeah.
So we're talking about a heavy commitment. How do you find the one that's right for you?
Well, it's you have to be honest with yourself about who you are. If you like to deal with humans and people, then the people business is the right thing for you. You have to know who you are and what you enjoy and what's your passion.
Okay.
If it's not your passion, you're not going to dedicate your time and your energy and your heart to it.
Wow. We're going to stop right at that. We're going to take a brief break. We're here with Tiffany Thomas, an owner, operator of a Chick-fil-A franchise, entrepreneur, business owner, expert in this field. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Nick Abrams, and we will be right back. And welcome back to Financial Empowerment with Nick Abrams, here with our guest, Tiffany Thomas. Tiffany, as we closed out the last segment, you were really talking about that passion. And we were talking about finding the right franchise that works for you. The different models. So you said some you pay more upfront, some you pay a little upfront, more on the back end. What differentiated that for you in your process of going through this? What made you choose one that you pay not so much upfront, but more of a royalty fee?
That's a good question, Nick. It's about the franchisor, the relationship that they have with their franchisees. Are you going to be in business by yourself?
Okay.
Or are you going to be in business with a company that's going to support you, support your efforts, have a good reputation? You want to align yourself with a company that fits your lifestyle and fit your morals. So, and can bring the profit earnings that you want to have for yourself and your family. So
profit is important.
Yeah, profit is very important at the bottom line. The bottom line is the profit is important. So you want to align yourself with a company that you can see yourself long term with.
Okay. In addition to your family support, and I'm all about the team approach, did you have lawyers, accountants, financial advisors guiding you through this process? And how did you find those people?
Yeah, that's very important as well. I spoke a little bit earlier about relationships. Relationships is key. You do need attorneys.
Okay.
You do need financial consultants. You do need accountants. And a lot of those people I found just through relationships, through people that I know,
Okay.
or I've come to know.
Okay.
But they are very important. A lot of people choose to wait. Sorry. A lot of people choose to wait to do those things. However, it's very important that you get those relationships up front at the beginning.
Really? So you didn't wait to the back end. You got those things done early.
Right.
Okay. So the franchise agreement.
Yes.
and I've never seen one. I'm sure it might be kind of lengthy.
Yeah.
How did you go through that?
Well, you do need an attorney. It's a lot of jargon that typical people like myself would not understand, and it's basically the rules of engagement and how the franchisor structures your relationship with them.
Okay.
So it's a disclosure documentation, and typically you get to the franchise disclosure documentation once you're accepted into the franchise. They'll typically give you one, and it is lengthy, and you should go over it with an attorney. And then if it fits both of you, then that's when the dotted lines get signed.
And viewers, I really want you to take note of this, that this is not something you do by yourself. You've got to have a team if you want to do success. You just can't take the agreement, say, I'm going to take the weekend and read over this agreement and sign off on it. The benefits of owning a franchise and also some of the responsibilities.
Yeah. Well, the benefits of owning your business, obviously you have somewhat control over your time, but that obviously comes with time, because like I mentioned in the beginning, you're wearing a lot of different hats very early in the process. But you can dictate a lot of what you do and why you do it. Okay. So that's the benefits.
Some of the responsibilities.
Well, if you're in a food establishment, responsibilities, number one is making sure that your team and your customers are safe, and the people that you serve are safe. If you're serving food, that's a huge responsibility. Also, in the world we live in, making sure you have the proper insurances, just to anything that may happen, because things do happen. So you want to make sure that you are covered as a franchisee, making sure you have your insurances and things like that. But there's tons of responsibility.
So how do you deal with all that responsibility?
Well, you create a good team.
Okay. Back to that team.
Yeah, you have leadership, and you have people in the right places doing the right things when you need them to do it. That's very, very important. Being proactive versus reactive is a really, really big thing that you have to. You can't do things when it happens. You have to plan for things to happen, because things will happen.
So, is this an automatic success story? I mean, is it just automatic? I decide, okay, I want to do a franchise because I'm sick of my boss getting on my nerves. I'm going to go out and start a franchise. Am I just going to be successful?
Good question. There are people that have done things like this in many different ways and been successful. But in my experience, it's like you're born with it. You're born with the desire to be an entrepreneur. You're born with that. It's not something that you just wake up one morning and say, I want to do this.
Because I ate a good sandwich.
Right.
I could make this sandwich and own one of these. Yes. So make a lot of money.
Right. No, so it's not that. You definitely have to know it for sure that that's who you are and what you want, and then go for it.
Wow. What are your future plans? 5, 10, 15 years down the road?
Absolutely. I am really passionate about helping people through the process with Chick-fil-A. It's an amazing opportunity. So I am in the process of creating a team to educate people, specifically people in the business majors coming out of college who are really not sure what they want to do. And my plans is to have multiple restaurants.
Really?
Multiple Chick-fil-A restaurants, yes.
Okay. As we get ready to close out, and before we do, a couple of tips for our audience and viewers.
Okay. One, be very organized from the beginning. So, from as early as you can think, have your finances in order. And it's never too late to get them in order either. So if that's an issue, just start it and continue to build and get help. Don't try to do it by yourself. Stay focused.
Okay.
Have one agenda. So if it's a franchise, work on that franchise. Don't try to do 4 or 5 things at a time, because you're just one person and you won't be able to. So those are some my tips.
All right.
And just have fun. Have fun doing it.
Ladies and gentlemen, as always, I told you with this show, we are committed to providing you knowledge and opportunities for you to empower yourself financially. I'd like to thank our special guest, Tiffany Thomas. Thank you so much for being a guest on Financial Empowerment with Nick Abrams.
Thanks for having me.
If the viewers want to contact you, if they've got an interest in maybe Chick-fil-A or another franchise, how could someone contact you?
You can contact me via my email address.
Okay.
It's tiffany.thomas@cfafranchisee.com.
One more time.
tiffany.thomas@cfafranchisee.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, we thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of Financial Empowerment with Nick Abrams. I hope that what you've heard today helps you, gives you some additional tools and resources to financially empower yourself to be better. Thank you so much for watching. Take care.